Soul family, welcome to Modern Mystic Messages. I'm Teresa. I'm so happy that you're here. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Soul family, we are smack dab in the middle of this Mercury Kazemi thing still, and I'm feeling the energies aren't as heavy as they were yesterday. I'm feeling a lot better, but I got caught up kind of in my own thoughts today, so I wanted to share them with you all. Typically, I start my day, well, I start with meditation and all that, of course, but as far as readings and other readers go, there is a channel that if I'm going to watch anybody's reading for a day, I've got a couple that I just really, really have to check in with. And first and foremost, and the only reason she's first, I think, well, I've been in her collective for a long time, but she's like the earliest. She uploads hers at 7 a.m. Eastern every morning. So she's genuinely, I call her the Good Morning America of tarot readers. And interestingly enough, she used to be a producer on the Good Morning America show. So her readings come out 7 Eastern every morning, MJ from Soulful Revolution. But today, her reading really set off like a lot of thoughts in my head as I was listening to it. Some of it, I was kind of in that space anyway, thinking about you all, and kind of, it bled into what's been on my mind lately. But she was talking, it was basically, I think let me see here, the title of her video this morning was Divine Feminine Transforms, Create Your Dream Future Now. And as she was talking, it just really made me, I was sitting there thinking about how we're being called to be creators of New Earth and all of that. And then I kept hearing what I've been hearing for 5 years now. The revolution will not be televised. Brother Gil Scott-Heron did his thing with that. And I mean, it was talking about, you know, a lot of the militant touch points of the day. That song came out, I think, in the late 60s or early 70s. I don't remember exactly the year it was in. But I keep hearing that. When my clairaudience kicked in, I heard that so strong. It was the revolution will not be televised. Let my people go. And I'd sit down and braid another whip. Those things just kept forefront in my head. And nothing starts till you start, but yeah. But as I was thinking about this revolution not being televised, it can't be. I mean, yeah, in the sense that thanks to these phones and computers and things, everybody has basically has a computer access almost. Most of the planet has access to telephones and computers and all that. So in that sense, it kind of sort of will, but in the truest sense of the word, no, it won't. Because at the end of the day, it's birthed from out of us. We are the ones that are being called to be creators of New Earth. And it also brought to mind what Abraham Hicks says all the time. One who is connected to Source is more powerful than millions who are not. So imagine what happens when one over here who is connected to Source draws in soul family, another one over here that's connected to Source, and then they, like I said, they tell two people and they tell two people and so on and so on. But when you get a soul tribe that's all connected to Source and aware of what's happening, that are not being freaked out by the things they see on the planet because they know and understand this rough ride that we're having. One who is connected to Source is more powerful than millions who are not. So when those form together, wow. No, the revolution will not be televised because the powers that were don't want that happening, but they can't prevent it either. And then it made me start, I went back to my conspiracy days. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Project Looking Glass. Years ago, they found something. They've been forever finding something. That's why they don't stop digging out there. They've been unearthing and excavating and this and that and finding stuff out in the deserts, in the caves, for hundreds of years, but especially in the last 150 years. They just don't tell us about it. because we got the smoke and mirrors of our daily news, all the stuff they could tell you about on, trust me. But for those that are aware of it, Looking Glass was, I believe it was something that they found that appeared to be not, I mean, of off-planetary origin, and it showed, basically, it's almost like a way of looking at different dimensions or different timelines. Like they say, everything we've heard over and over here that there are infinite timelines and possibilities kind of overlapping simultaneously here, that time is not linear, it's fluid and all of that. Well, they found a way to kind of peer into different timelines, and of course, the way we go and try to mess with everything, and I say we, I'm talking about the powers that were, but they want to mess with everything. So they were trying to tweak the timelines to their advantage, and no matter what they did, it got to a point where they started seeing kind of the same thing, that no matter what changes they effected at the end game, it kind of balanced itself and converged in a way that they didn't expect. And I mean, it was so unexpected, they called in a mathematician to kind of check the computer calculations that they had done, and the mathematician concluded that no, what they were seeing was correct. No matter how they tried to rig the game, like I said, the end game, it seems to balance itself in a way that favors the light regardless of what they do. So be it as how, regardless of all the doomsday stories they tell us, they're already aware that darkness does not win, but the way that it can win is if they can convince you that it'll win. So they continue with the dog and pony show, trying to march people off the edge of the cliff, basically. And again, I'm not trying to be doomsday-ish. I'm being realistic. Why do you think those powers that were genuinely are manipulating and manufacturing our downfall? Because at the end of the day, they know they're not going to win, but you forgot who they work for. Ultimately, they all work for Enlil, who wanted mankind eradicated anyway. So even though he know his time is up and he know he going down, he's determined to take down as many as he can with him. That's the main reason why we're having such a rough time, especially the chosen ones, but everybody's having a rough time because the powers that were are not reaching for the light. And unfortunately, people in their ignorance have followed the wrong team, and things are very, very rough. But as she was talking, I started thinking about the calm before the storm, especially when we're talking about like this kind of a weird feeling that I've been having for the last few days. I've gotten comments from you all saying that you're feeling it too. So I do get that. And then I was like, you know what? I don't like the term the calm before the storm. Maybe the dark before the dawn. And then it was almost like Spirit corrected me. No, the calm before the storm is correct. Because, and this is the part that it don't feel good, but for real, spiritual warriors, black sheep, chosen ones, you already know. You've been walking in some pretty rough waters most of your life. But here's the part we don't stop to think about. We want it to be, kumbaya, hug a tree, it's all love and light, and here come the manifestations. But that's not really the place we manifest from. Most of the time we manifest from our pain points. Not only that, we have to understand that our greatest triumphs are going to come out of what is otherwise, and especially to those that are not tuned to source, what would otherwise appear to be chaos. because that's all around them. But we have to understand we're alchemists. So we're turning that chaos into something else. And we've been plunked right down in the trenches. So, yeah, so much for people. Like people, we get to rest on the other side. Because when you in the trenches, it's not always peaceful. You have to find that peace within, because you might have chaos around you. Now, to some degree, yes, you do have to protect yourself and shield yourself somewhat so that you don't become part of the chaos. What that was Yeshua was saying, being in the world but not of it. That's where that part comes in at. But it's not necessarily guaranteed for us to have a completely peaceful, smooth, bumpy ride. No, we got to get our spiritual shock absorbers on, because that's where we are the most benefit. We're going to be soldiers, boots on the ground. How are we going to help these people? If we are sitting up in a gilded cage somewhere just enjoying all our manifestations, what good are we here? We're here to serve. Yeah, that part we forgot, didn't you? You forgot that part when we told Spirit we would serve. Yeah. So, yeah. And as such, we really are reaching a point in time where we've got to be prepared to stand firmly in our truth, understanding that it may not always be sweetness and light, but we can know. And again, I'm not saying anybody, that song, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised, was kind of a little militant feel to it. I'm not telling anybody to be militant, because that is not where we do our best creation from, not as spiritual warriors. Yeah. But that said, we're still not going along to get along anymore. We're calling it out. And be, like I said, standing on business, 10 toes down on our spiritual business. And they're not going to like it. But that's truthfully the only way we're going to really, really be able to usher in the season that we want. She also mentioned something. Well, she was generally addressing the divine feminines, and she was talking about how divine feminines now are kind of in their mama bear energy, kind of looking out for everyone, even if, and especially if, you're a female that's not romantically attached to your divine masculine or divine counterpart at this time. You're conserving your physical energy as a divine feminine, but you can still use that golden womb to generate that energy in other ways. You're transmuting that energy to manifest for the collective around you. Mama bear. And that's just the way it goes. Now, for the masculines, this is a time too, in this calm before the storm, darkness before the dawn period, that you have to realize too, even though you are male primarily in your divine masculine energy, or you might be females that are still having to hold on to divine masculine energy for a time, but we're all being called to kind of tap back into that divine feminine energy right now, because in times like these, that is more productive and more manifestational than trying to move it into space in that masculine energy. It's just, no, we're being called to tap more into divine feminine energy at this time. Now, what else there was something else I wanted to mention. Oh, yeah, I was sitting there as she was talking. I don't even remember. I guess when she was talking about being Mama Bear and all of that, and I was thinking about how the revolution won't be televised, and one who is more connected to source being more powerful than millions who are not. It also made me think of that scene in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome where Tina Turner is standing out there in all her post-apocalyptic sexy badness, and she's singing "We Don't Need Another Hero," looking out across the frontier like that. And I was like, you know what, you're right, we don't need another hero, because guess what, we are the heroes. We are the heroes that we've been looking for. You are Neo. You are the one. Neo was just a play on the word one, and the Matrix story was the everyman story, the Christos story, the overcoming the machine, the all of that, every bit of it, and that's you and me. We are the heroes, the builders of New Earth. This is getting down to again, I just had this conversation with my roommate today. I hear people, I guess I get extra because it took me so long coming out of religion and trauma and all of those things. It took me a long time to find this information. So when I did find it and instantly started kind of getting it and connecting the dots, like I said, it's a fire in my belly. But every day I'm seeing people and they go, oh yeah, I read that 20 years ago. And oh yeah, I read all of Sitchin's works. Oh yeah, I read the Enuma Elish. Oh yeah, I did. Well, what are we doing about it? There doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency there that I would expect for people who genuinely had read this information and understand its implications. Because you can read it as ancient history and tuck it aside and go, oh yeah, that's fine, that's all well and good. But they forget the part of the story where the Anunnaki said that there was going to be another cataclysm coming and that humanity has to be preserved. Just like when Noah was preserved, when the flood came, there's another cataclysm coming. And again, I'm not saying that the two go hand in hand, but at the end of Revelation, it talks about that group or that remnant that's before the throne. And then the other Elohim comes down with the base camp New Jerusalem and lands there, and they doing all of this, and he's working with those people, the ones who did not wear the mark of the beast and who did not continue to worship the dragon and who came and threw themselves at the foot of the throne. Those are the ones, when that other Elohim comes back, that he's going to work with them. Now, whether that is all talking about before or after that next cataclysm, I don't know. But guess what? If there's another cataclysm coming and they know about it, who do you think is going to be preserved? The same kind of people that will be preserved at the end of Revelation. So it could very well be, and honestly, don't it make you wonder if that's where the notion of the rapture may have come from? Like, really? Because there is no biblical basis for the rapture teaching in Christianity at all. And yet, it kind of, sort of would make sense, because if we get down to the wire, like they had in that movie Knowing, and it was time for those who were going to be able to be preserved to found Earth after the cataclysm was over, if the Anunnaki come back to rescue those people, to salvage what they can of humanity before that cataclysm comes, there may very well be a scenario where people are being just caught up and some are being left behind. Ain't nobody really stops to think about that, because we all wanted it to be just one sky daddy basically choosing whether we get raptured on whether we're good or not, even though the scriptures done told us none of us are good. We're all worthy of death, and the only way we can be saved is if we believe on him. All of that. But what if that's not the case? That's a whole different ramble and a rant that I hadn't even planned on going down that way, but hey, my mind went there. So it really is something that people need to stop and think about, because if the creator of all has given Lord Enki the prime directive that Earth is to belong to humans, now that they did dare play God and they did create Homo sapiens and all of that, that the divine creator is satisfied with us being here and wants us to be preserved here by any means, because the scriptures do tell us that the earth has been given to the Son of Man, or sons of man, and they will reside forever upon it. So yeah, we got Anunnaki blood, but obviously they determined a long time ago that we were not to be allowed to be taken back to Nibiru. We could survive it. And here's the thing, the one that said that we can't go and we can't survive and we can't have long life and we can't, that's the one they said that they was going to destroy in Armageddon. So who's to say that we'll still have these little puny 100-year lives? I fully expect that human life will begin to be extended again really soon. Some of us that are living right now may begin to see extended lifespans. Scientifically, they're already talking about doing it. They're talking about med beds and all of that. But if the real med beds were to be unleashed on this planet and our telomeres were to be uncapped, there's no reason why, even in this, those who are living and breathing within the sound of my voice right now could potentially be in a situation where we could start looking at 150 to 200-year lifespans right now. We don't know that. I mean, I didn't get no specific guaranteed narrative on that in meditation, but those kinds of thoughts have been presented to me, and it's not a far-fetched impossibility. Once we become aware of what's been being done and how the powers that were have been on a mass campaign to poison humanity, to keep us from waking up and to keep our bodies sick and all that, to make profit and make money off of all the chemicals and things, once that agenda is put a stop to, with all of the evolutionary upgrades that we're having right now, and please don't think we're not evolving on the fly, because we are. Look at these babies that's coming here now. If you don't believe me, babies used to lay around, could barely walk, could barely hold their head up till they 6, 7 months old, couldn't talk till they 2 or 3. Now they coming here walking and talking by the time they're 8 or 9 months old. And even within the human body, when I was a kid, kidneys were darn near on the down low, almost at the back of the pelvic bone. Now they've migrated to where they're almost up under the rib cage. In 2 living generations of my lifespan, we're evolving rapidly. That quote unquote junk DNA that well, scientists said it was junk, you know, good and full well. The creator didn't make no junk, and our fashioner didn't make any either. Our primary geneticist, Lord Enki, left his signature in it. Greg Braden talks about that. In the DNA, they found the signature codes that basically is God's tag on us, if it will. But that's not junk DNA. It was just dormant DNA that is coming online now. That's why we feel all of these immense energies over the past couple of years, all these different planetary alignments and the planet parade and the marriage of the twins and Pluto coming back in. And here's the thing, Pluto came into Aquarius in January of last year and will be there. It bounced back out a little bit at the end of the year, but now it's firmly back into Aquarius for 20 years. That is where the age of Aquarius gets firmly established. Why wouldn't we think that Lord Enki, who is the quintessential prototype Aquarius, the water bearer, Yeshua said that the man with the pitcher would show the way. Why wouldn't Lord Enki come back at some point during this time period? Just food for thought. Like I say, I have no idea. He ain't gave me, like, I would not dare try to pick a day or an hour and wind up looking crazy like all of the other religious fanatics have done over time. I'm not religious. I'm just sitting here thinking about the things that come to my mind when I do consider these things. And I do understand that I don't think my thoughts alone, so I'm thinking them for a reason. It's not a guarantee, but neither is it just random conjecture, neither is it unreasonable conjecture. It's just food for thought that we might do well to stop and think about. Now, one of the other things that she mentioned, and I mean, it goes without saying, but we do have to stay, and we've heard it a million times before. But now more than ever, it is time for us to be the change we want to see in the world. Every day. As best we can, even if it's just a kind word. Because like I said, the main things that we can do to affect change don't really involve money, not yet. Some of us have been given a vision for big projects and calling in Soul Tribe and hey, Spirit King, I'm trying to tell you, when I get mine rolling, I'm going to need a whole bunch of y'all. But guess what? From what I saw, when we sit down, when I eat, like I say, when I eat, my whole family eat. Because what I've seen and been shown is going to help a whole lot of people. But it's not, I don't believe in doing charity where we got to live raggedy just so we can look good to the world helping other people. No, everybody's going to do well. That part. Real compassionate assistance to humanity. So I know I can't do it by myself. I know I can't finance it by myself. I know it requires Soul Tribe and Soul Family. And when the time comes, we're going to do it. That was the intention I set when I sat before this camera for the very first time 2 years ago. I have no doubt in my mind that the time is coming. But in the meantime, in between time, every day in little ways, we still have to be the change. Advocate for it. Talk it out. Speak it out. Be somebody's moral cheerleader and backbone. Like I said, I got to be divine feminine in my mama bear energy. I'm going to be the spiritual cheerleader, encourager over here for you guys. And meanwhile, I make sure that you're doing the same thing. Even, and I get it, it's hard because especially when you're trying to handle your own. But don't get so caught up in our own stuff that we forget to be the change. Because that's how we effect the change. We are powerful creators. What we think comes into being. So if we get to a point where we just get so used to seeing it and saying it the way we want it to be instead of acknowledging so much of what it is right now, eventually we will shape our world into what we want it to be. That's another reason the revolution won't be televised, because we got to dream it into place. Like, seriously, that's pure manifestation. That is alchemy. And it is what each and every one of us is being called to do. Because energetically, if you put your back into it, what you can do physically, when you put your spiritual back into it, you'd be amazed at what you can manifest. Right up out of the middle of this chaotic looking mess. And that's the crazy part, because they tell you can't get order out of chaos, but when you choose to see the good and focus on that and stay focused on that and insist on that, in fact demand that, that's what we're going to have, right? Because we just refuse to rock out with that foolishness, right? Yeah, it's here. We acknowledge it's here. But that ain't what we're going to our future with. No, no, no. No, no. Rebuke that, as they say. We going to rebuke all of that. So, yeah. The revolution will not be televised. We're going to stay in our feminine energy and manifest from that spiritual place. It don't look like we're doing much. We're just riding out the storm. It don't have to look like much, because it ain't much until it is. That part. It looked like absolutely nothing to the world until all of a sudden one day it's not nothing, right? Anyway, that's it for today. I'm gonna scoot on here, and I will be doing a reading this evening. I'm gonna pull some cards in a few minutes. I'll do like I did yesterday. We're gonna end this shortly here, and then I'm gonna readjust the camera and get in here and pull some cards for us, and see what's going on, because yesterday was amazing. See what kind of encouragement we get from Spirit today, or point us out what we need to work on. Who knows? Either way, I'm here for it. I hope you are too. I love you so much, soul family. Until the next time, peace and blessings to you. I love you. Namaste. Mama Bear out.